Hi, Run Your Story family. This is Alison Gilliard with the Run Your Story, where every story needs to be heard. And making sure these stories get heard this month are friends from Run the Rainbow. We're so excited to be partnering with them. Run the Rainbow supports Children's in Mississippi, which is a state-of-the-art care facility for any child of need, and it's the only children's hospital in the state of Mississippi. So what an amazing cause to run for. And guys, you're not going to believe this, but Run the Rainbow offers such a variety of race distances. Yes, you have your 5K, there's a 10K, there's a half, there's a full, there's also a 50K. And if you're like me and your pace is, you can start early. It's amazing what Selena has done with Run the Rainbow is thought about the runner as a whole, and it is absolutely amazing. Finishers get awesome swag. There's this after party I keep hearing about. Guys, and this is all while supporting the Children's of Mississippi. Absolutely incredible. Such an amazing reason to run. And you can use code RAINBOW, and that will give you a nice little code whenever you sign up. So sign up, Run the Rainbow, run to make a difference in children's health in the state of Mississippi. And we are incredibly thankful for Run the Rainbow and for Selena, and we cannot wait to be there and cannot wait to, I wonder if there's a pot of gold at the finish. Really excited about that. So cannot wait. You can find more information online at Run the Rainbow. You can also find information at the Run Your Story website as well. All right, guys. Wow. What an incredible journey Travis McCalla has been on. And he shares that story with us. And I want to just take a moment here because Travis has served this nation very proudly and he is deployed. And so I just want to take this time to say, Travis, take care of yourself and your buddies. We're rooting for you in the United States. We wish you nothing but the best and to be safe. I can tell you guys, after meeting Travis, I kind of had to sit on this for a little bit because he is a reminder that mileage is just a number. Just get out there, just move your body. No one's going to do it for you. But he's also a reminder that when days get tough or when there's moments that you need help, that it's okay to ask for help, that you need to ask for help, and that your community wants to come along for you. Your community wants to be there for you. And so that's just a beautiful reminder. I'm incredibly grateful that I got to know Travis and his story and that he shared it here on the podcast. And again, I don't even know when he's going to be able to hear his story. And in here, he also talks about how he had to put all of his running goals on hold because he was leaving for deployment. So 2027 is when his goals will happen, and I'm sure we'll be cheering him on. We'll be really excited for him. So guys, again, think a soldier, whatever it is, in honor of Travis, because, when you get out there and you run for Travis, run for our military, because when they're off fighting, defending this country, they don't get to worry about finish lines. They have to worry about getting home. So Travis, thank you. Please be safe. And we thank you for what you're doing. We thank you for who you are. We thank you for the runner that you are. Thank you for your story. It's a reminder that our stories have hard chapters, but you gave such nuggets of wisdom to get through those hard chapters. And so again, thank you for your service. Thank you for what you're doing. And we wish you the very best and can't wait to see what you do in 2027. All right, guys, lace up those running shoes, get ready, get set, and go run with my friend Travis and his run story. Well, thanks, Travis, for being here. I'm so excited and honored that you're joining us because somebody reached out and was like, hey, you need to have this guy on your podcast. So I have no idea your run story. The only thing I know about you through social media is that you're a veteran. So I just want to say thank you for your service. Thank you for what you've done for this country and that you run. And that's all that I know. So what is your run story, Travis? How did we get here?
Okay, well, I kind of break my run story up into 3 chapters. It's kind of synonymous with my life. So the current iteration of my, we'll call it quote unquote running career, it's been about 9 years long. But to tell that part of the story, I have to go way back to high school. And I tried the indoor track. I didn't like it. I didn't like running at all. So after that, I tried cross country. I hated it. I said I was never going to run on my own accord. And so it was the 90s, and I was 5'0" nothing, 120 pounds maybe, long hair that I dyed crazy colors, and just real frail. So I picked up a lot of bullies, and they said some real heinous stuff, and I thought it was I had a sense of pride, even as kind of a weirdo back then, that I thought I had to defend myself. So I ended up fighting a lot in high school,
Mm.
and it kind of ruined any extracurricular activities that I wanted to do. But at the same time, concurrently at home, I had a stepfather who was an absolute monster. So whatever beatings I wasn't taking at school, I was taking
Mm.
at home. So my attendance started to dwindle at school. My grades started dropping. So being completely self-aware, I knew that I needed an escape plan.
Mm.
So I had taken the ASVAB,
Mhm.
and a couple of recruiters reached out, left some messages on the answer machine at home, and I decided one day I walked downtown, hopped on the city bus, and I went down to the Marine recruiter. I said I was going to do something totally out of character and join the Marine infantry.
Wow.
And so I walked in the office, and I mean, he must have laughed at me because I did not look like Marine material, long hair and everything. So he sat with me and he talked for a while, kind of explained what the Marine Corps was about, and then ultimately said, "We're not going to waste your test scores on the infantry." And he actually talked me into going to Marine Corps Communication Electronics School. And so I did that. July 7th, 1997. I stepped on those famous yellow footprints down at Paris Island. And that started the next chapter of my life. I was going to leave that childhood stuff in the
Mhm.
past. And so I got to my first unit, and it was fine. It was just the Marines. I was a low rank, and you get what comes with a low rank. And I'm not going to say there was hazing because there's no hazing in the military, right? But I was introduced to alcohol because the Marine Corps has got an awesome drinking culture. And I was underage. I just turned 18 because I went to boot camp when I was 17 with my mom's signature, and I loved it. Drinking solved every problem
Mm.
I ever had. So, I mean, if the Marine Corps had a drinking team, I would have been the captain of a world
Mm.
championship team. And that continued on for quite a long time throughout my tour in the States, my tours overseas. I went to Okinawa my last year of active duty in the Corps, and that's kind of like the mecca for Marines who want to drink.
Mm.
And finished my career with a little disciplinary action and flew back to the United States in 2001. Well, in September of 2001, we remember what
Mm.
happened. So I wasn't sure what I was going to do, if I was just going to join again or I was going to wait for them to call me because I was still in the IRR, the inactive ready
Okay.
reserve. So I gave it some time. I didn't really think much of it, and I just let the IRR time expire. And then in 2006, I wanted to join the military again, and I didn't want to do the Marines
Mm.
anymore. I didn't have the mentality for it. I was successful, but I just didn't have the mentality for it. And we used to make jokes all the time. Should have joined the Air Force. Should have joined the Air Force. So again, I went to the recruiter's office and I said, "Hey, I just got out of the Marines. I'd like to join the Air Force." And he basically said, "Get out of my office," because they don't want to take prior service. So I walked across the hall and went to the Army office. And I was like, "Hey guys, I just got out of the Marines. Can I join the Army?" And they were like, "Hell yeah." So 2006, I joined the Army Reserve, and I was still drinking. And now I didn't really have youth on my side
Mhm.
anymore. So I was starting to get fatter and sicker. And I just kept drinking, but I was going to my Army Reserve duty. And it was during the global war on terrorism. So they weren't really kicking people out that often for being a little
Okay.
overweight. I mean, there were people who were much bigger than
Mm.
me. And I wasn't really thinking of fitness at
Mhm.
all. I just did the bare minimum to pass my physical fitness test and just kept drinking. And as time went on, I was starting to have health issues. My job was suffering because I had just taken it in 2008. I took a job with the Department of the Army as a civilian
Mm.
and basically did the same thing that I did in the Army. And my attendance and work performance was starting to suffer a little bit as well. So finally, in about 2014, I went to a trusted Army leader and I was like, "Hey, I need some help. I don't want to die."
Mm.
And so they got me the help I needed. And so when I got out of the hospital shortly thereafter, my squad leader sent out a text message and he was like, "Hey, we got a spot to go to Kuwait. Does anybody want to go?" And so I immediately volunteered. I was like, "This will be awesome." And so here I am, completely sober, going right into this deployment. And I was so busy while I was there, it really gave me time to reflect. Went over to Iraq and I barely had time to sleep. I was just working all the time and came home from that deployment and went back to work sober. Things were starting to go my way. In 2017, I was given an opportunity to deploy again. So I took that
Mm.
opportunity and this time I went to Europe.
Wow.
So the way this is kind of the turning point to where running is going to come into my life. I was on a mission. We were doing a left seat, right seat with an active duty unit. We were doing fuel convoys for the artillery guys. And we were driving through Germany, and I was in a lead vehicle, and the active duty kid was driving. And it was late at night, and we're going real slow because these trucks don't move fast, loaded down with fuel. And it was explained to me afterwards what happened, but it was a German truck driver driving a tractor trailer was trying to speed past our whole convoy and cut back into traffic. When he
Mm.
cut back in, he didn't realize that our truck was still in the front. So he slammed into the back of our truck. The truck jackknifed, and I don't know if it was whiplash or a direct head injury or what, but I was out for a bit, and they took me over to the nearest hospital. And while they were there, they did an ultrasound of all my organs and
Mm.
stuff. And he goes, "Your head looks fine, but you see what all this is?" He's like, "This is a fatty liver, and there's just all this fat in there." And all of a sudden, it started to click that I wasn't well. So when I was cleared for duty, I got sent on another mission with a team with another fuel support mission. But this time I was stationary up at the port in Gdansk, Poland, and I had time on my hands. So they had a little strip that led out to like a little civilian airport on this Polish base. And I just started running back and forth
Wow.
all day. I was like, I got to do something. And so I continued it on when the mission was over. We got back to the main post that we were staying at. Deployment ends, we come home. And a guy that I deployed with was like, "Hey, we got this 5K going on. Do you want to come up and run it?" I was like, "All right, I've been running. Maybe I'll do pretty good." So I head out there, I run the 5K. I run it really hard, no pacing strategy. I don't know how to run. I'm just
Sure.
running. The military doesn't teach you how to
Mhm.
run. They just tell you to run. So just keep up, don't fall out or anything like that. So I ran the 5K, and there was all these people around cheering and everything like that. And I was like, "Oh, this is pretty awesome." So I started to catch the bug, and I was like, "Oh, let me do another 5K." So I did another 5K, and I was like, maybe a 10K. What's this half marathon thing all
Mm.
about? Or maybe I'll run a marathon. And I'm just rocketing through all these distances in just the shortest amount of time. And I was like, this hurts real bad. But in my mind, I'm framing it as it's only pain.
Mm.
So when I found out about ultra marathons, I was hooked. I ran my first 50 miler maybe a year and a half after I started running full time,
Wow.
and it hurt real bad. But the pain and just the uncomfortableness gave me a sense of calm with everything that had gone on in my life. I was able to kind of stop and think about that I'm not going to be defined by any specific thing.
Mm.
So I did the 50 miler. I was like, "Oh, what's this 100 miler thing about?" And I started running 100 milers. And in 2021, I took an active duty tour out in New York. And 2 years in, I had amassed a whole bunch of leave. And I was just looking at Ultra Sign Up like one does. And I saw this race. It was called the Fools Ultra.
Mm.
And as the Fool, at first, it was called the Fools 409. There'd been some rebranding afterwards. It was a race put on by Joshua Swink, real sweet guy, also retired Army. And I didn't know anything about this so-called journey running. I guess this is a niche of the niche of ultra running. And it's a 409, which ended up being a 414-mile point-to-point foot race across the state of New York.
Wow.
So just like anything military, I planned the logistics and figured pain is pain in a short race or a long race. The only thing with this one is it's completely unsupported. There's no fans. There's nobody out there. There's no aid stations. There's no nothing. We started at Niagara
Mhm.
Falls with our back to the falls. He says, go, and you have 13 days to get to the Vermont border at Lake Champlain. And it's a beautiful route. You go through apple orchards and
Mm.
vineyard areas and all through the Adirondack Park and through the Olympic Village. It's beautiful. And when I finished that race, it was kind of like I discovered a new color.
Mm.
You know what I mean? It was amazing. So I ran it the next year, and then I just ran it a couple months ago. And that's kind of where I am right now with my running, is just kind of hooked on these super long distances. And I ran a 200 miler earlier in the year just to see where I was at. And yeah, that's where I am right now.
Wow. Absolutely. Like, I don't even know where to start with that, Travis. Wow. First, I just want to say this, and that is, I am so grateful that you realized that you needed help. And so you went to somebody that could help you. And I think that shows strength that definitely our society doesn't really talk about as much as we should. And that is when you feel like you need help, that you ask for help. And so kudos to you for doing that. I'm so like, wow, what an incredible story of overcoming, my friend. Just incredible. And now here you are doing 400 milers and you're like, Just went and did a 200 just to see where I was. That's quite a journey, my friend.
It was a long
Mm.
one.
So, Travis, obviously there have been some lessons that you've learned from running. So, do you mind sharing some of those?
Sure. Probably the biggest one now, and it's why I love ultra running in the community, is that sense of
Mm.
belonging. So if this could be kind of like a reflection of my career, it's weird because I always had imposter syndrome in the
Mm.
military. I get promoted to Sergeant E5, and I'm like, who did I trick
Mm.
to get promoted? They're going to figure me out. I'm not qualified to do this. And then I get promoted to Staff Sergeant. And then I'm like, they're definitely going to know because I'm a leader. They're going to see right through me. And when I started running ultras, it's like I put the work in. I belong
Mm.
here. And then I see other runners and I'm like, they belong here too. And it gave me this sense I could look back at my career and I was like, wait a minute, I put the work in.
Mm.
I put the work in to become a sergeant, a staff sergeant, a sergeant first class. I put all this work into it. So finally, I have a sense of belonging. And other lessons is mileage is just a number. You don't have to get hung up on, did I run the 8 miles I had to run today or the 10 miles I
Yeah.
had to run today? It's the act of running. It's getting out there, moving your body, as long as you're staying consistent with it. And not every run has to be awesome. It just has to happen.
Mm.
And ultra running is kind of reframe the definition of what I thought hard was.
Mm.
And then when you can grasp and become comfortable with being uncomfortable, that
Mhm.
cliche, you really can succeed in the sport and succeed in running and succeed in life.
That's good. That's so good. I gotta know, do you have a favorite overall race?
So I might get a little evangelical about
Okay.
this and sound like a salesman, but if anyone hasn't heard, because we've had a small field size these last few years, because a 400-mile race isn't easy to plan for
Sure.
because it's a time commitment. You got to take a lot of time off of work to get something like that
Mhm.
done, especially if you're not a fast runner. I'm not fast, so I got to plan to take a lot of time off. But it's now called the Fools Ultra. Like I said before, the race director is Joshua Swing. And he's turned this into a 420-mile race now. He added some mileage, a little reroutes here. And he also offers other distances, 226-mile, and then 100-mile and a
Mm.
50-mile. And it's just a beautiful course. It's an adventure. You start from day one, you're meeting people, big Amish community out there, and you run alongside the horse and
Mm.
buggies and you run through apple orchards and things like that. It's beautiful. And then when you finish at the monument at Lake Champlain, and you've been on the road for 10 days, it's emotional. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So yeah, my favorite race is the Fools 420.
That's amazing. Wow. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about routine because routine for you is going to be a little bit different because you are doing, especially for this 400 plus miler, you're doing multiple days. And like you said, there's no crew. So, how do you plan for that? What does pre race routine look like for you?
So at first it was best
Mm.
guess,
Hmm.
but now that I've done it a few times, it's planning where you're going to resupply,
Mm.
planning where you're going to sleep. There's plenty of hotels along the way and cabins and things like that, but they're not always available when you need
Sure.
them. Like you ran a 70-mile day and you're spent, but the next hotel's 35 miles away. You're not going to make it. So where are you comfortable sleeping?
Mm.
So you got to plan these things in advance and have a plan A, B, and C if things don't go right. And I've kind of got that dialed in, but there's no guarantees in ultra running
Mm. Mm.
because it could be sunny today and now it's pouring and now your feet are blistered and bleeding and you're not going to make that hotel tonight. You might not even make it till tomorrow afternoon. So as much planning as you can put into it, that's all you can do.
Mm. When you get done with a race, like the one you just got done with, what does post race routine look like? How do you recover from that?
So for like the 50-mile and 100-mile races, those I don't really do much. I don't go home, lay on the couch type
Mhm.
of thing, take a shower, nothing crazy. But with the 420 miler, there's definitely some recovery. There's sleeping, your body's out of
Sure.
whack, your hormones, you're not sleeping right, you're twitching a
Mm.
lot, just your muscles are done. But like a regular race, 50K, I just ran a couple ultras last month and it was great. I just left the race, we drove home, watched TV and went to bed. So the shorter races aren't too bad. It's those longer ones where you might start to feel sick or you need some extra recovery.
Mm. Okay. So I love that. Good. I'm just like, you're like, I just did a couple ultras and I just drove myself home and we're good. Amazing. I love that. Okay. So I got to know, what is your absolute favorite running item? Like you will not go running without it.
So I do all my runs in the dark in the morning.
Mm.
So generally I try to be on the road around 3:45. So like in the wintertime, I'm not going to see the sun. So my favorite items are they're safety
Mm.
lights by Angel.
Mhm.
because I do a lot of the road running on roads with no sidewalks, no shoulders or anything like
Okay.
that. So I need cars to see me, obviously. But I have a whole suite of safety gear that I wear between all kinds of reflect. I look silly, really, running down. I look like a tow truck in the morning, but I guarantee you will see me mostly. It's still some near misses because not everybody's looking out that piece of glass in the front of their
That's right.
car.
Absolutely. That is amazing. Okay. Running shoes. What do you like to run in?
So forever, it was the ultra
Mm,
paradigm, mostly because my feet are shaped like bricks. So those were like the perfect size. They were huge, but they were heavy. And I was starting to get some plantar fasciitis after wearing them for a couple of years.
mhm,
And when Mountain Coast came out with their R1s, it's like they made them just for me.
mm,
So I've been running in those for the last maybe year and a half, year. Yeah. And they're fantastic.
mm,
I love them.
okay. All right. So for your ultra marathons and for your 400 plus milers, how do you fuel? What do you like to take with you for those long runs?
So if we're talking 400 miler, I don't want to carry any nutrition
Mm,
on me,
okay.
maybe just a little bit because it's the weight. Because in my pack, I try to keep it as light as
Mhm.
possible. But when you're trying to plan for everything, food is just something that weighs you down. Same with
Mm,
water. You don't really want to carry a lot of water on you because it's just so heavy. So I'll eat a lot of real food out of gas stations and things like
okay.
that. But if I'm running a short race, a half marathon or something like that, I like science and sport
Okay.
gels.
Mhm.
I'm not a big fan of
Mhm.
goo because, like, out in the cold weather like we have here, it just turns into hard cake
Oh,
frosting, you know?
we don't have that problem because we have humidity.
Oh, sure. Well, it gets humid here in the summer, but
Mm.
we're going through kind of a weird, brutal winter. It was 40 degrees today, but we had an ice storm the other day.
Wow. We do not. Okay, I say that we normally don't have that problem. It's January and we're all sweating because it's still humid and hot. So we like the 40-degree. Some of us enjoy running in that. But yeah, I don't have to worry about my goose turning to frosting at all. Travis, do you have a memory that when you think about running, whether it's funny or it's like a core running memory that it's just really special to you? Do you have one of those memories?
Sure. There's a lot of great
Mm,
memories, but the one that sticks with me the most is definitely of overcoming an injury during a race. So it was the first year of the Fools Ultra, and I was probably 275-ish miles in. And that, that tendon, the one that lets you flex your foot,
okay.
that big thick one in the front
Mhm.
there, well, it got super inflamed and I couldn't bend my foot.
Mm,
And, I still have 150 miles or so to
sure.
go. So I found a cabin to stay in, and I told the race director that I was going to drop from this race. I was like, man, my foot's messed up. And he's like, all right, I'm going to come and meet you. Because the race director for these long races will follow you, along and check in with you once a
Mm,
day or
mhm.
whatever. I told him, I said, I'm going to drop. And I had talked to Christy. She's been my girlfriend for a long time. My crew, when I'm doing these local races and things like that, she's been by my side. And she talked me out of it as well. And then the other racers, they were like, don't drop. And the race director said, hey, man, you're 3 days ahead of the cutoff. So why don't you just take 24 hours and see if you get any better?
Mm.
And so I did. I think I took almost 30 hours off. It didn't get better. It was so
Oh,
bad. You weren't going to get better in 30 hours. But I'm past the point of dropping now. I've already told everybody, I'd take the rest. So at 0 dark 30, I did what I could. And I basically dragged my foot behind me for, the
wow.
last 150 miles. And what made it better was that it started raining the whole time. So it got real bad. And so mentally, I was in a bad place. And it hurt so bad. It was beyond
Mm.
uncomfortable. It was intense, searing pain. So it ended up taking me another 2.5 days to finish. And so I lost my place in the race. There was four of us that started the race, and I think I was holding second for a while, and then, that passed me up. So I'm getting near the finish line. There's a Stewart's gas station about 9 miles from the finish, and I just sat there with my head in my hands, and I was like, I don't even think I can do this 9 miles, and it's just pouring
Mm.
out, and I talked myself into it. And I get up, and I'm just dragging my foot behind me, and it took me hours and hours and hours to get these last 9 miles, and finally, I'm making the final turn, and then it's just a few miles to the finish, and now the sky's really opened up. I'm out there by myself. I'm the only one
Mhm.
in this race,
Mm.
and I've been alone for a long
Sure.
time, couple days, and I make that turn into the park where the monument is, and I run all the way down to the little lighthouse with a plaque, and I put my hand on that plaque, and I was
Mm.
done. and I didn't think I was going to make it. And it was super emotional.
Mm.
That's one of my favorite running memories anyway.
Is persevering through that injury, pushing through that injury. How long did it take you to recover from that?
Oh,
Mm.
weeks. I think like my sleep in my head, my body, maybe a month.
Mm.
Like it took weeks before I could really get through a run because I had to let the foot
Sure.
heal. But even after you do a really long race, at least me, I'm not an elite runner by any stretch of the imagination. I'll try to run the day after if I can, or the second day after. But you try to run and it feels like you're running in quicksand
Mm.
and you can't get anything right. So for that race, it's probably a good month before I could get back to 8 to 10 mile training runs.
Wow. Man. Did you have your foot looked at all? No.
Oh, why would I do that? I don't like the doctor.
Okay. Got it. All right. So we just kept going. Got it. Travis, do you listen to music at all when you run?
Oh, absolutely. I could derail this podcast right now if we were going to talk music.
Okay.
Absolutely. Going back to when I was that long-haired kid, I've always had headphones on my head. So I still listen to a lot of 90s
Okay.
rock and stuff
Mhm.
like that. But what really the core of what I listen to is the golden era of post-hardcore, the 2000s era with bands like Under Oath, Seosin, The Used, Finch, Alexis on Fire, all those kind of bands. And then kind of the modern metalcore music. So Architects or Currents or even the Heart of God. There's some kids from Connecticut called Boundaries that I really like,
Mm.
and Knock Loose and things like that. So I use that as a utility, but there's also certain songs that I can put on when I want to run sad, because sometimes you need a little catharsis and you need to run sad. And so I have songs for that. And sometimes I want to run angry.
Mm.
So I have songs that I put on when I want to run angry. And yeah,
Okay.
so
Yeah.
it's a big part of it.
Let's,
It's definitely a performance enhancer.
okay. Let's go. Oh, I like that. That's good. Let's shift a little bit to recovery. And obviously, you mentioned about your foot and going through that. Do you have a favorite recovery tool?
Sure, I do use a massage
Okay.
gun. I'll use it if I really have some issues, but in the sauna, I definitely like the sauna, but I don't really use a recovery tool that much. I kind of like to just wallow in the
Okay.
uncomfortableness. So like a daily run, I keep it at around 10 miles, 8 to 10 miles, and my recovery is going to work.
Mm. Okay. Got it. That's a good recovery. Do you have a favorite cross training activity? Do you do any cross training?
Sure, yeah, I love jump rope.
Oh, okay.
Do that all the time. It helps keep me limber and definitely like the rower.
Mm.
I get on that when I can. But the thing about the rower is it's kind of like a treadmill. It's just super
Mhm.
boring, but you do get a good workout with a rower. A treadmill, I'm on for 30 seconds. I'm done. I don't want to do
I
it.
get that. I totally understand that. Do you have a race, Travis, that if you could, or maybe it's already on your radar, that you're like, I want to go back and redo because maybe the elements weren't that great, or you're like, it just wasn't my best day? Is there a race that you're like, I want to go back and redo?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
most definitely. It's the Infinitus 250 that they have in Vermont. So it's a race put on by Andy Weinberg. It's great. It's such a good race. It's well organized. The format for this race is they have like a base camp. And in one direction, you go, I think it's a 9 mile loop, and then you come back to base camp. And then the other direction is a 19 mile loop, and it's in the Green Mountains. So there's a lot of climbing and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. So that concurrently, they had multiple distances going on, and I was doing a 250. And I was doing great for about 100 miles. And the first sign that things were going wrong is my Garmin got that triangle of death and I couldn't get it to reset. So I had no idea how much there was no service out there. And so I just left my phone in my
Mm-hmm.
tent. And so I was just going blind. I had to remember, you're not going to get lost, but I had to remember kind of, oh yeah, this was about mile
Mm.
10 or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Because in your mind, you're like, how much time do I have left till I get back to an aid station or
Mm-hmm.
whatever? Because, it's 27-mile total loop. And the heat was unbearable, and the mosquitoes were huge and they were relentless. And that's just some ancillary stuff, but I wanted to do well. So I wasn't paying attention to how much sleep I was getting. And there was just the most ferocious thunder and lightning storm
Mm.
at nighttime. And the trail started getting slippery and I was falling. And it was a very unrunnable course after that
Oh.
because the mud was so deep and you just try to make good time. And so I probably got to about mile 160-ish. That's my best guess, is because I had no idea how far I
Sure.
made it. And I was running behind the race leader. He had already probably lapped me once or twice. And I got to a big muddy pool and it was super deep. So I'm like, let me see if I can go around it and try to get up on the bank. and I slipped and I came down on a
Oh.
rock and I opened my kneecap up.
Oh.
And it was this kind of, there's a picture on my Facebook. It's pretty gnarly. And I couldn't get it closed. So and I didn't have my phone. So I asked the race leader there that was in first place, a French Canadian guy. I don't remember his name, but he was super cool. Barely spoke English. He was awesome. Super thick French Canadian accent. And he was like, "Are you okay?" And I was just like, "Hey man, do you have a phone on you? Because there's no support for a long
Mhm.
time. You think somebody could run some first aid supplies out? I don't have anything to stitch this up." And so he called his wife, and there was an unmanned aid station with a table and some water on it that was some miles ahead. And I got there, and she helped me put it back together.
Wow.
I ran about another 4 miles, and I came out on this dirt road, the little stretch, and it opened back up, and I was just bleeding
Mm.
everywhere. So I'm sitting on a rock, and this random woman comes walking down, and she's like, "Hey, are you okay? Do you wanna ride back?" And I was like, "No, I can't take a ride. I'll be a DNF." And she's like, "Well, I have some bandages if you want those." And she walked away, and I was like, "You know what? I'm just done.
Mm.
I don't think bandage is gonna keep this together." So I DNF'd at about mile 160. And I didn't go to the doctor for stitching. I tried to stitch it myself on the way home,
No.
and so there's a big scar here now to go with all the other scars that I have. Yeah. So I would love to redo that one. I know it'll be tough. I don't know if that course ever dries out, though. Might have to do some recon before I decide to sign up.
Okay, I just want to go back to the fact that you needed stitches, and then you were like, I'll just stitch it myself."
Yeah, it didn't work. It totally I went back to the race director back at the little camp area. I was like, "Hey, man, I'm done. I can't keep this thing closed, and it's just bloody and muddy, and it just looks horrible." So I went and I packed up my camp, and I took a nap in my car, and it's just still bleeding. It's not bleeding as
Mhm.
bad, but it's dirty, and I didn't really clean it out well. So I was like, "I have a 4-hour drive to get home. I'll clean it when I get home." And it already started healing a little bit, so it was just a mess. So I'd like to redo that race with what I know now: sleep more, eat better, bring bug spray, bug net, all the things that you should do if you're going out into the
Mhm.
woods. I didn't do, and I would like to try that again.
And hopefully not fall and bust open your knee.
So that's something that I seem to do at all trail
Oh,
races because
stop.
I have tons of pictures of. I have this great one where I'm just sitting with blood running down both my legs. And it was so funny. It was a loop race. I think it was a 12-hour race, and it was great. So you run your little loop and you come back, and it's a giant aid station. So you have all the volunteers and the crew, and everybody's in one central location, and they're all cheering you on, and you're like amped up. And I was running. I didn't trip over any roots in the woods or anything like that. I tripped over my own feet in front of everybody, and I fell on the there's like 2 square feet of asphalt on this whole course, and I skinned both my knees, and I'm just sitting there dejected, and they took a nice picture with blood running down both legs,
That is wild.
but I digress.
What? Okay, Travis. Let's say that somebody's listening to you, or maybe they come up to you at a race and they say, "Hey, Travis, like, I want to get involved in running." What is a piece of advice that you would give them?
Just start,
Mm.
just walk, jog, run for a minute, whatever you gotta do to get moving, and also don't be distracted by all the fancy stuff surrounding running,
Mm.
like all the fancy shoes, nutrition, and all that. That'll come. Everybody's trying to sell you their version of foam to strap to your feet or their sugar salt mix in the fancy packaging. Don't worry about all
Mhm.
that. Just focus on moving your body,
Mm.
and the rest will come. And I guess another piece of advice I would give is volunteer.
Yes. Mhm.
Get out, find a local ultra, even if you don't plan to run an ultra, and just see what the vibe is and see the camaraderie and stuff like that. And I'd be sold because the volunteers are the best part of any race.
Absolutely. Mhm. I tell you, I have just as much fun, if not more fun, when I'm volunteering than I do when I'm running. You know what it took for them to cross the finish line. And if you've already ran, especially that race, one of my favorite races is Battleship 12K. And one year I got to volunteer for it. And that's one of my favorite running core memories because that was my husband's first time running it. And then I also got to give my son his medal when he crossed the finish line. And then I got to
Oh,
cheer on friends as they came in and give them medals. That is such a memory to me. And all I was doing was at the finish line handing out medals.
hell
But
yeah.
that race means so much to me, and just to be able to give back to that race was just such a beautiful moment, and I absolutely I love that race, and that memory is so core, so I love that you brought up volunteer because you get to see a different perspective, but also, again, if you've already done that race, you get to meet people and you actually get to hear their stories and you get to just talk and just have fun. And you're not the one suffering, you're having a great time. So,
Go off that point, and I got to give credit to the volunteers that are volunteering late into an ultra.
absolutely.
There's some people, their whole character changes 80 miles in. You know what I mean? They become like a nurse or a psychologist or whatever, and their people want to drop and they're talking them out of it and things like that. Or, people getting snippy and they haven't eaten and they're puking and all that. But a lot of those volunteers have been there
Yeah.
themselves. So they really know what could help bring somebody out, especially if it's your first or second ultra. You think, this is the worst thing that's happened to me. That's the worst thing that's happened to you right now. But if you continue to run these ultras, the worst thing is going to keep happening, but you're going to like it a little more. So I give credit to those volunteers deep into the races.
That's awesome. I love that. Travis, when you do want to quit, do you have a mantra? Is there something that you tell yourself?
Absolutely. You've been through worse. Certainly have. And it helps because sometimes I'll think back to how rough my childhood was or how bad it got when I was in the throes of addiction and alcoholism. And with a clear mind now, it's just like, you've been through worse. Your feet are going to hurt. You're going to bleed a little bit. You're going to be sore. Just keep going. It's not that bad.
That is a great perspective. So looking forward, what do your goals look like, my friend?
Okay, so short term, my race schedule for 2026 is kind of a wash because the Army's got one more deployment for me before I retire.
Whoa.
So I'll be leaving. I don't want to say when or where,
Sure.
but I will be back in 2027 with some goals in mind. Definitely, I want to continue with the Fools Ultra. That race, it's part of my soul now, so I want to continue with that. Also, when I was stationed in New York, I lived in Newark, New York, not to be confused with Newark, New Jersey. It's a small little quaint town, but the next street over was a trailhead to the Erie Canalway Trail. So I would do a lot of my training runs on that, and I really want to run the whole thing.
Okay.
That goes from Buffalo to Albany. It's like 360 miles. So that's definitely something I want to plan. And also my home state of Massachusetts, I planned a route that I want to run. Maybe I'll have time to do it before I deploy. I don't know, but I want to run from Provincetown, which is the tip of the little arm on Massachusetts, and then come all the way down and run to the New York border. And then ultimately, I definitely like to do a transcon run. That's down the road. That'll take a lot of planning, seeing what some of these other guys that run across the United States. There's a lot that goes into it. Then I want to race on the other side of the country. I'm very much interested in the Arizona Monsters 300 and the Cocodona 250. I see the Cocodona 250 has kind of become like, it's more of a competitive race now that's been around for a few years. And I don't get super excited about that competitive stuff, but I did get a chance. I took vacation, went out there and ran in Arizona, and I was hooked. I really liked it. So to run either one of those races out there, I'd like to do.
That's amazing.
Maybe 2027, 28. Yeah.
That is awesome. So when you're not running, what fuels you? What are you passionate about?
So I love procedural crime dramas,
okay.
movies and things like that. I became kind of a finance nerd because I missed out on college, went straight into the military. I decided to go back, and I'm almost done with a business degree, and I got kind of excited about finance. So I dabble in that a little bit. Other than that, it's just like, once I get done with this, I have a lot of shows to catch up on. So that as soon as I close this laptop, I'm going to throw on Hulu and catch up.
Okay. I love that. Travis, this has been amazing. And I don't know where you'll be whenever your story releases, but we wish you the very best. And we thank you for sharing your story. And thank you again for serving our country. Because of you, the rest of us get to go run freely. So thank you so much for that. I don't take that lightly at all. Do you have any final words of wisdom, my friend?
Nobody's going to run those miles for you. Get out there.
That is really good. Travis, this has been amazing. Thank you so much, my friend. And again, we wish you safe travels and that you're safe wherever you're going to be at, my friend.
I appreciate it, Alison. Thank you for having me.
What a story. What a story of endurance, physically, mentally. Just, Travis, thank you so much for your story. Thank you for who you are. Thank you for sharing your story and being open and reminding us that even our soldiers need help. And that is incredibly brave. And I'm so thankful for you and your story and the reminder that we just need to ask for help. That's absolutely incredible. So, Travis, take care out there. You and your buddies, you guys are in our prayers. We're rooting for you. We're thinking about you guys. To our running community, I hope that when you go out running, that you think about our military, that you think about, you know what, I'm getting to do this because of them. So please go and support them. Find ways to honor our military and their story in this chapter. So Travis is a great reminder of that. Guys, just nobody's going to run the miles for you, so go run them. Travis, absolutely incredible. Thank you so much, my friends. And thank you again to our friends at Run the Rainbow. We are so excited about this event. I'm really looking forward to it. I hear it is a hype of a run. I hear the after party is amazing. I am stoked about this. So cannot wait to see my friend Selena at Run the Rainbow. And we have a lot of friends coming, so we're pretty excited about this. And again, guys, there's all the distances that you can choose from. So it's going to be so much fun. So thank you to Run the Rainbow for partnering with Run Your Story and allowing us to be a part of this moment. We are just honored by this. And what Run the Rainbow stands for and supports is children. And that's just amazing. I'm a firm believer that as adults, we should be children's biggest advocates. So go out and let's do that. Let's show the state of Mississippi that we believe in them with the Children's Hospital. That's incredible what they're doing. And it's incredible what Selena's doing. So can't wait to see you guys at Run the Rainbow. As always, thank you to Gilliard Tech Services. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for making sure our website is great, always updating it, making sure that the podcast sounds great. I can't tell you how many edits he makes on my behalf. So thank you so much for what you do, Gray from Gilliard Tech Services. Guys, if you need a website design, if you have a concept, you don't know where to start, Gray Gilliard is your go-to. So definitely check him out. You can find more information online at Gilliard Tech Services or on the website at Run Your Story. And to our Patreon family members, thank you so much for being part of this journey. We are incredibly grateful for you, for who you are, and for pouring into us. And I'm in awe of you guys. So thank you so much. You guys are always so patient with us, and I'm very, very grateful. You can join the Patreon family. There's more information on Run Your Story website as well. Make sure you like, share, comment. Make sure you share Travis's story and that it gets out there and it gets heard, because you never know who needs to hear it. You never know what story is going to resonate with somebody and be like, wow, I too have been there, or I too have gone through that. So share away. These stories, I always leave going, well, that was insane. That was incredible. That was wild. Like, the things that humans go through is incredible, and the human spirit is resilient. And people like Travis, I admire so much and incredibly thankful for. So I'm incredibly thankful for your stories, no matter how hard they are. They are part of who you are. So it's a journey, and it's a chapter, and it's a chapter by chapter journey. And we don't get spoiler alerts. We don't always know the next chapter. So share those stories, because they matter, because they need to be heard. And with that being said, go run your story, because every story needs to be heard.